And so she plays that role. Sorry, this is a different camera, and it's very blurry for some reason. I don't know. Just gonna have to deal with it. Um, so I'd been seeing him with this girl, and um, not trying to compare myself to her, but I immediately did. And I remember just like, this is the way my brain thinks. It's so wildly inappropriate, I know. But like, after that woman had left, like, she had left me with this sort of like, it really is blurry, sorry. She had left me with this, like, you know, potential that something could happen between myself and this guy. Um, So I'm like telling myself in my head too, like, that's not what I'm trying to do. That's not what I'm about right now. Like, I'm just trying to focus on work. And so then I'm even like laughing at myself where I was like, I mean, this dude's not even my type. Like, this is so silly. Why am I even thinking about this? And then I'm like, he has a full ass other woman around. And then he had this other woman around. And I was like, you don't even need me. Like, why am I even thinking about this? And, but I couldn't even help myself. Well, plus, like, I'm doing the dishes, I'm cooking and stuff. I'm constantly in the kitchen. And the kitchen window faces his patio, which he is working on every day. He's working to tear down his patio and to build it up. And I can't help but to find myself watching and being impressed by this young dude who's like very driven in that way to do the things that he wants to do for himself. He has his own home and he's caring for it and he's building it up, and I'm watching the way that he does that and that he carries himself. And I am struggling with, telling myself that I'm not attracted to it because he's not really my type, and I'm not even trying to do that right now. And he has all these other things going on, and I realize that I'm just trying to convince myself against a natural attraction to him. And at the same time, like I'm kind of like frustrated with the woman who I'm working for, because I feel like she did that on purpose. She said those things. She talked about him in a certain way and set me up. She set me up. So I'm feeling some type of way about it, right? And then I remember like watching this guy with this girl. We're like, I know that they're fucking. I know that they're fucking. But I'm thinking where I'm like, I'd probably watch them do it and enjoy it. Like they're probably good together. But like I can just tell by them that like the way that they carry themselves, they're like, nah, that's not even what I'm into. Like it's probably so performative and like it's probably good visually, but like I don't think that that's what I would even be into. Like I'm such a fucking pervert. Sitting here looking at my neighbors, thinking about them having sex. Um, and I was. And I was. If you want me to, I'm gonna get very explicit about everything. So like I was literally like, yeah, I was like thinking about. And then I'm like, and that's what got me too, because then I'm like sitting there thinking where I'm like, well, he probably like is a little dominant actually, and like she's probably like submissive, but like maybe kind of boring, but like in the way where like she's more like willing to kind of just do whatever he wants, and like that was hot to me. I don't know what my fucking problem is. I'm sitting here trying not, and I'm trying not to even watch these people. I'm trying not to. I'm catching myself doing it, and this is what's going through my head while I'm doing it, because I'm insane. Okay, so like, and I'm not talking to these people either. I'm like, saying my little highs and stuff like that as I have to walk by because I see them every day. I go for walks multiple times a day with the dog and my client. I take my client out so that he can go to his day job, his day care sort of thing. Um, I take the dog for walks. I go get the mail, like stuff like that. So like I see them in passing consistently, um, and I don't start up conversations with them. I'm actively not trying to talk to them. I'm embarrassed, so I'm trying to avoid them. I'm trying not to find myself attracted to this dude. I'm keeping it very basic, but these things are what are going through my head. Okay, and then like one of the woman who I was working for, her best friend would come and visit, um, just to check on the house, check on how things were, see if she could help with anything. And there was one day that she was there and she starts talking to the neighbor, who, by the way, would also take care of our yard. The woman who I was working for, like because she's an older woman, he takes care of her yard for her. When he does his yard, he also does her yard. And when he does a yard, he does the whole thing. I did landscaping. And when I did landscaping, I supervised the mow crew. Like that was the main thing that I was doing, was the mowing. So like that's something I can admire, that's something I can appreciate. And like when he does it, like he mows the whole lawn. He does like, he does it the way that I had learned to do it, that I would do it, the right way to go about it. He wasn't lazy about it. You know what I mean? Like he made real nice lines. He took care too. And then he would weed whack, everything. Then he'd blow everything. He always left the yards looking very, very nice. And I admired that as well. To the point where like I find myself sitting there watching him mowing the lawn, feeling some type of way. Because listen, and I haven't had sex since May, right? So like, I'm watching this dude mowing the lawn, and it's just driving me wild. That's all I need for foreplay. So I'm having a hard time, and I think that like these people know, like they're trying to set me up. They are trying to set me up. So like they're doing what they can to like initiate stuff between me and this dude because they know that I'm avoiding it. So she starts talking to him, and she mentions whoever knows what about him helping out and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, thank you. It's really nice that you help her out like that. Like, what a good neighbor you are. That's awesome. And then I was like, but like I'm an able-bodied young person that has also done landscaping. I know how to mow and stuff. So like, if you want me to take care of these things while she's gone, don't feel like you have to continue doing that just because it's something you normally do. I can take care of these things, myself while she's gone. And he's like, no, it's something I enjoy doing. I like doing it. It's part of my routine. So like, don't take that away from me. This is my routine, like sort of deal, right? And then he's like, and then he like makes some underhand comment, like, well, I don't think I would really let you, like I want to mow and do the weed whacking and stuff like that, but maybe you could blow it. He says something like that, and it kind of went over my head at the time, but at the same time, like I saw on his face what he was saying, so like, okay, but that is also coming from like I mean, he said that, and he said it in front of somebody. So, like, these people are already under the impression that I'm sure that they've had a conversation that I'm just some type of slut, and that this should be a pretty easy catch, um, right? That's the impression that I get, at least. So I immediately kind of like close up about it. I'm like, But then he decides to come and talk to me one day and to let me know that he's going to be going out of town for a week. First, he lets me know that his family's visiting. And so he's like, if you see a bunch of kids running around and stuff like that, that's why. Um, the woman who I was working for told me to poop scoop um, before he mows the lawn, that's something that she does. And she takes up his garbage cans. So that's something I was doing for him. I was taking up his garbage cans after garbage day, and I was poop scooping. Um, Generally when he was not around. Um, but then so he says his family's going to be there. So I make the point that day to poop scoop so that the kids aren't running around in a poop filled yard, because I have a dog, her dog, that I'm watching that sometimes like goes in his yard. But then he has his dog, which is a big dog. And then he has his girlfriend's dogs. So there's lots of poop. So, he tells me that, so I do that or whatever. And then like that, I guess like makes things a little bit more casual. His family is like saying hi to me. His dad's being weirdly flirtatious across the lawn. I didn't really like sit and chat with them or anything like that, but like there had been some sort of communication established at that point. So then after they leave, he lets me know that he's actually going to be going up north to where they are for a week. And he's going for his birthday. And he was like, I'm all nervous about it. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, why would you be nervous about your birthday? And he's like, well, because I'm turning 30 and I just don't feel like I'm doing enough. And I was like, you got your own house. All I ever see you doing is working and taking care of things. Like, you've got to be pretty on top of your shit. Like, I've been impressed, like, I think you're doing pretty well for 30. I don't know any other 30-year-olds that have themselves set up quite like you do. So like, I'm impressed. I personally feel like you're doing a good job. I know I don't know you, but like, I think you're doing pretty all right for as much as I can tell, And then I was like, well, like I should do something for this guy, especially because he's just always helping out the woman I was working for and her brother. Like him helping her out is helping her be able to care for her brother better. And that's my client, and this is the woman that I'm working for. So like, I wanted to show him appreciation for how much he cares for them as well, because I'm caring for them too. So I got him a gift card for his birthday, and I made a little card, and I put it on his doorstep. When he found it, he came over and he knocked on the door and he thanked me for it. And he's like, "Oh, that was so nice. How did you know? That's what I would like a gift card for Cabela's because I know she had told me that he hunts and fishes. So I got him, a gift card for a place that sells hunting and fishing gear. Um, and he seemed so excited about that, and that like made me feel some type of way. And now we have something established, okay? And like I kind of knew that that's what I was doing. I did. But at the same time, I also didn't think that he was actually interested at all. So I didn't expect it to actually go anywhere. Um, More than maybe just kind of like feeling some type of way and being like, oh, this lady, oh, you know what I mean? Just kind of letting it be a little bit of an ego stroke that way. Um, but then he goes, he gives me his number for when he's gone so that I can hit him up if I need to get into the garage and use anything of his. And so I hit him up and talking about the lawn and like I want to mow the lawn and I want to take care of his lawn on top of ours. I want to do them so that when he comes back, he can be impressed to see that like I can do a very good job at those things. And I did those things so that he didn't have to. And like I'm trying to make him feel really good. Right. Well, that turns into me being so slutty because that's what I am because I can't even help myself. All of this is like building up to this, right? So then I'm like, well, it is your birthday and I'll like, maybe I could send you some sexy photos. And he's like, well, you would get, how did he put it? You would bless me like that? Fucking dick. Bless. Yeah. Yep. So then he's like being all complimentary, just having the nicest things to say about just, I mean, he is just stroking my ego way more than I was stroking his. I felt like, and like I don't get talked to like that very often because of the way that I am. Like generally the guys are like, oh, this is easy. So like they're not trying to throw me compliments. They're not trying to talk me up. They're not like having all these nice things to say. So then when he gets back, like obviously now I've expressed some type of interest, and he has uh, received it and expressed some type of interest in return. So I'm feeling some type of way, and like at this point too, I've already explained myself like that I'm celibate. That like as much as I wanted to, send him those images and feel some type of way and like those conversations and stuff like that, like I really wasn't trying to engage that way. But at the same time, that it was a struggle because I really wanted to. Because he had stimulated all these different things. And, he's like, well, let's just talk. So then he comes over, after I put my client to bed and it's late at night, and he comes over and we talk on the patio. And we talk for a couple hours, a few hours, and we're just sharing like our beliefs on things and our opinions and a little bit of our past, a little bit of our relationship history, but more so like just our what we're looking for in the future. And like he's right on point with me and he's making it seem like we're right on point about everything and he's in agreements and he keeps like complimenting, like he's like, like you're very physically attractive obviously, but like I really like the way that you think and it's your personality and like your brain and like all of these different things. And he's just schmoozing the fuck out of me, and like he is a very intelligent person, but like he mentions that a couple times to the point where I'm like, okay, like I get it, like this guy has a bit of an arrogance, right? But like it's also obvious that like it comes from like a projection that he's also a bit insecure and that's like a protection method, right? Real common trope. And my sluttiness is also a very common trope. So like it is what it is. I don't know. So we're just like talking whatever. Well, I have to run in to go to the bathroom because I'm about to pee my pants. So I rush in real quick while he takes the opportunity to come in as well, since I just like after I was like, I'm sorry, I just gotta go in. So like he comes in like right before then, even he's like, oh man, we're just sitting out here with like the bugs biting us. And he's like alluding to coming inside anyways. And like I know that that's what he's trying to lead it to. I'm like, okay, like I wanted to take it slow that way, but like I'm obviously like pretty open that way too, where I was like, I mean, is we've already had something established, and like he's talking about like taking me hunting potentially and stuff like that, and like you know living in his fucking camper potentially that he has up north, and like being able just to get away, and like where he mentions kids, like he's like talking about things as if there's some sense of a potential future. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what the fuck he's doing, and so do I. But I fell for it nonetheless because I don't like having that strong of standards. Apparently, a little bit of a pervert. I'm a recovering sex addict. What can I say? Easily exploitable that way, I suppose. So I know the story is lasting forever. So he comes inside, but it's very quiet in the house, and I don't want to sit there talking. I don't want to wake up my client. So I was like, well, we can go in the room because that's where it's quiet. But like I say it like kind of like, but we're not doing anything. I didn't say that, but I'm like, but. So I go in there and I sit on the edge of the couch, on the edge of the bed, because I'm trying to make it seem more casual. I'm not just trying to like lay in the bed, like, okay, come in the bed. Well, he immediately comes in and just like tosses himself on the bed, like lays down fully on the bed, like he's ready. And so I like kind of like make a couple comments, like trying to like slow things down. I'm like petting the dog, kissing the dog. She's up on the bed and I'm not going to make her move off the bed. So I'm like, and he's like kind of wanting me to get the dog to move off the bed and I'm not. And so then I like kind of curl up with him and like I'm not making any necessary attempt to make it sexual. It's more just like intimate. We're cuddling, not having foreplay. And he, starts like rubbing on me, like he starts, rubbing his hand up my side, um, up and down my side. He like I haven't had a man touch me like that in a very long time. Not quite like that. Right before I started my celibacy, the man that I was with was we had quite a time, but it was not terribly like intimate that way. It was very just sexual. And this guy is totally using the vulnerability of intimacy in order to get to me. Um, and I am totally susceptible to it because I haven't engaged that way in such a long time. And I'm so stressed that like the emotional vulnerability felt really healing at the time. Like it felt like really like, oh, like I could just fall into it. Like it's been so long and I'm just so tired and it just feels like it felt for a split second like having somebody actually care about me, or care for me, like for a minute, and then he like, he puts his hand like underneath my shirt as he rubs my back and he feels that I'm not wearing a bra and I can hear him like breathe slow, like his chest get tight and like breathe slow. And then like I put my leg up like around him to cuddle him. He like runs his hand down my leg and then he like grabs my ass and like pulls my ass a little bit. And he says it like under his breath, but he's like, "Oh my god, yes!" Like I don't even know what he was saying, but like he like responds to it. And then he's like looking me in the eyes, and it's a weird look. And I think in part because he had been avoiding eye contact a lot prior to that. And I knew that he was nervous. It was quite obvious that he was nervous talking to me. Um, and the way that he talked was like that I was very attractive to him, and that was somewhat intimidating, but that he was still, choosing to engage and trying to be confident in those types of ways. Like he wasn't going to let it actually intimidate him. So then he's like looking me in the eyes and he's like very close to my face, but he's not trying to kiss me. And I don't know, it just made me feel like weirdly weak and vulnerable. I like put my head down and like put my head into his chest. And like he's like still just rubbing my side, and then when I put my head down and on his chest, he's like, I want to touch it. about my fucking body. So I like pull back and kind of look at him, and he's like, can I touch it? And like kind of smiles, and I just kind of like adjust so that he can put his hand down my pants. Starts like rubbing me, which also like I have not had somebody touch me like that in a couple years at least. Like it's driving me wild. My body is responding to it very strongly. Um, and that's driving my emotions all sorts of ways. And I'm just like, I can't really even get my head straight at this point because I'm turned on. And I like kind of like spread my legs a little bit and just kind of like, I'm like breathing heavy. I'm like not even saying anything because I'm nervous. Um, and he seems to be taking control and being dominant at this time. And I kind of like so I like try to snap out of it a little bit and try to get confident and try to be a little bit more dominant myself. And I like like slide his shirt up and I'm kissing his chest. I lick a lot. I like licking because I'm fucking weird. But like the dog was trying to lick me just prior, so like I started like licking him, and I'm like, oh, I'm like a little frosty. I'm like acting so gay because that's the way that I get. And he kind of laughs, and then at that point, like then he becomes nervous because he sees that I'm getting comfortable and I'm getting confident. Right? Like it was like the only time that he could feel comfortable and confident was when I was very insecure. But the second I'm not insecure, suddenly now he's insecure. Um, and so I like feel him and I feel that he's still soft and he's like, you make me very nervous. Like I'm incredibly nervous. And the way that he says it and like I believe that that's true, but I also like am questioning like do is this just like maybe this is I think to myself like maybe this is a problem that he has, like maybe this is something that he struggles with, and that's like I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm not going to sit here and make him feel bad about that. Like it's whatever. I don't care if he's still enjoying himself, like then it's okay. But I'm also thinking that like it's just like he's just taking a minute. So like I'm like okay, well then I'll just try something else to see if that helps. So then I like kind of move so that he's not touching me anymore, and I like get on top of him. I like pull his shirt up more, and I'm like kissing him and licking him, like pull his pants down a little bit, and I'm like kissing and licking his hips and his thighs. And then like I pull his pants all the way down. He kind of like lifts his butt, lifts his butt up or whatever, and I pull his pants all the way down so that like his genitals are fully out. And um, I don't really miss a second. Like I just start licking, but I start with his balls first, because that's the way I like it. Because that's the way I wanted to do it. So I like start like kissing and licking and sucking on his balls. The second that I do, he's like in my head, he said something like, "Oh my God, she's really doing it," or "Oh my God, this is really happening." He said something like that, like she's really doing it. He said something like that, and I don't think he was meant to say it out loud. And maybe he didn't really say it out loud, but like I can read people's minds that way. So like I heard it, and he's still not hard. And at that point, like his body is very stiff and his eyes are closed. And I can tell that he is incredibly nervous. Um, but there's also something else going on. And like there's something he's not telling me. Um, it was more just like his involvement in things. And he didn't want to let me know. Um, that like I was being set up for this. And it was kind of like this thing of like, oh, she really is doing it. Like I was told that she'd be this type of person, but then she made me think that maybe she wouldn't be, but now it's actually happening, sort of deal. It's the impression that I got. Either way, I have all those thoughts in the back of my head where I keep them because I am focused on pleasing him. And so I suck on his balls for just like a few seconds, and then I like lick up his dick, which is still soft, and I pull it all into my mouth, and I start sucking on it while it's soft. But like I completely like I have the whole thing in my mouth and I'm sucking on it, right? This Like as soon as I started sucking on it, like it did not take long at all. And he is just like, "Oh my god, I'm coming," and he was, and I just kept sucking on it until he was done, and then I like kept my mouth on it and kept him like kind of like in my throat a bit, like, he was still completely soft, but like the whole thing's like filling my mouth and like a little bit in my throat. And like I just let it sit there while because he was like shaking, like his whole body started shaking while he was coming. And like I said, he didn't even open his eyes. He was like, I could read on his body and see in his face that like he was embarrassed, kind of. And then it's like, so then I just like have him there in my mouth, and he's like, it didn't even get hard. And he was like, and then he kind of like laughs, and I like pull him out of my mouth, and I kind of like look at him, like smiling, but I kind of like look at him like a little bit awkward, and kind of because I'm looking for like what's next, I guess, you know? And he like opens his eyes and he kind of looks at me and then he looks away and then he's like, "You really are too much." Psych. And I can tell that he's just so nervous. And like even when he said it, like he didn't mean to really say it. And then once he said it, he like had to take it back and he's like, "Psych, you're not." But like when he said it, like he's like, "You really are too much." And he's like, "Oh, just kidding. Like, no, no, I can totally handle this." Like that was his attitude about it. But it's obvious that he couldn't. And yeah, his whole body was like screaming that he felt inadequate. And that was like the opposite of what I wanted. I was trying very hard to make him feel comfortable. I wanted to show him that I was still willing to please him, like even if he couldn't get hard or even if he came really quick, like I didn't care. Like I'm not valuing you by those things. Like I'm just interested in being here with you and doing these things with you. So then I like kiss all over his body more and I start like kissing his face, kissing his ears, kissing his neck, and he's like laying there and he's smiling and he's like soaking it in. But like I can see like that back and forth between it too. Like he feels really good and he feels really relaxed and like it felt really good. Like I know that it felt like probably nothing he had had at least in a very long time, if ever before. But at the same time, like he just seems so conflicted, and he keeps his eyes closed again. Like he only looked at me a tiny bit this whole time. But then he keeps his eyes closed. Like he just can't handle it. And I've learned this too because this is how guys have been with me. That like the stronger I get, the more capable I get. Like the stronger willed I become. Like even when I'm willing to be with them in different ways, like they can't look at me. Just frustrating for me. But I can tell that he's just nervous and that he feels somewhat inadequate. So I'm like kissing all over him. And then I go to start like giving him a massage. Like I'm gonna like massage his legs. I want to give him like a full massage. So I go and start like massaging him and he like jumps up really quick and he's like, "What time is it? I gotta go to bed. Like I gotta get back home. I gotta go to bed." He's like not really looking at me and stuff. So I like, you know, like okay. I get off the bed and, you know, like let him get up and put himself together, and I lead him outside to open the door for him so that he can leave. And then he's like, he like, he's just so nervous and he's talking real fast and he's not really looking at me. And then he like kind of skips off of the balcony. He like jumps off it like a 12-year-old, like a little kid. It was honestly really, really cute. This is why I'm so dumb because I'm enamored by like the dumbest things, but because I like to see men feel like a child again, like free that way. Not like I don't like when men are immature and stupid, but like I like when they feel free and when they're just being goofy and silly and cute and free. So he like does this like little spin kick off the balcony and he's like, "I feel like a new man." He was like, "I needed that." He's like, "You can text me. Text me. I like text me tonight. I'll text you back." He's so awkward. He like doesn't even know what he's saying. He's like trying to be nice, but at the same time, like I also immediately get kind of sad because I immediately get the impression like with me kissing all over him and him still not trying even once to kiss me. In fact, he was like trying to avoid me kissing him on the mouth, and like he didn't want to kiss me on the mouth, and then like the whole time, right? And then like avoiding looking me in the eyes, and then like avoiding letting me give him a massage and like actually get vulnerable and intimate that way, and then like rushing out really quickly, and then like the things that he said, and then he was like trying to like cover that he actually said those things, and then all of it. And then when he said to text him, like it was one of those things where it's like, I've had a one night stand before, I've had a few, like I get it, like this dude has no intention of pursuing anything with me, you know. Then he didn't talk to me for a week after that. Then when he did talk to me, he was trying to act all overly confident, and he was being kind of rude, and he was talking to me like I was an idiot, and I straight up called him out for it. uh, I was kind of just done because I've been through that enough, and I've had that plenty of times. And like I said, like I'm living next to this dude for 2 months, right? This happened like a month into living in there. So now there's like a whole nother month where I'm gonna have to sit here and watch you every fucking day because you're right next door to me, and I'm gonna have to see these other girls coming in and out, and like you just living like everything's totally fine while you just used me like a throwaway flashlight, which like is so annoying. It's not like, at least treat me like a flashlight that you keep secretly in the closet that you love to use but don't want anybody to know you're using. That's more respectful than fucking a one-time use, object that you can come in and then just never have to give any attention to afterwards. Like that shit hurts. It really does. I don't like being used that way. Like, but at the same time, like it also convinces me like I've never been a prostitute. I've never been a whore. I've never actually done those things for money. But like those are the things that make me feel like I could, because like, no, it hurts my feelings emotionally, and it's not something that I like or that I want, but I do enjoy the physical activity and the casualness that way. Um, I don't demand commitment for those things. And like, if you paid an entire bill for me so I didn't have to worry about it for that little thing, like, then it'd at least be worth it. But then that makes me feel jaded, and it makes me feel like if I were to do those things, it's only because I'm jaded, and like that's not what I'm trying to do with my sexuality. That's not what I'm trying to do with myself. So like, I don't know, it just really left me feeling a lot of ways. And so and that's what I told him too, like I'm not I'm, and that's what I was telling everybody at the time, anybody that I was dealing with, like I'm not going to take on your shitty emotions anymore. I'm not that person. I'm not that person. I have always been that person, and I'm not doing it anymore. I'm tired of carrying other people's doing the emotional labor for others, carrying other people's emotional baggage, and being the one expected to heal from it and to turn it into something nice. And then I can come back around and give you something better when, like, no, you do the fucking work. You do it. This is yours. You carry it. You have it. So I didn't have any qualms just being honest with him about how disrespected I felt, and how, I called him out about shit for sure. At the same time, like I try not to be disrespectful. I can be, but like, I don't know. I don't know. It just definitely left me feeling some type of way. And so now I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I could like just go back to being super casual with things, and just like, I mean, I could randomly suck a dude off multiple times a day without thinking twice about it, to be honest. I don't think I've ever actually done that, but like I've always like in my head been right on the verge of that. And like I said, like I could do it for money. I've never done it, but like I feel like these types of situations like make me feel like who even gives a fuck. And like, I don't know, but in that same hand, it's like, then if I'm looking out for myself, well, treating myself like a throwaway flashlight isn't actually looking out for myself now, is it? And that's why I choose celibacy often, and like why I try to refrain from different types of things. But at the same time, like then I'm longing for intimacy to the point where like, you know, then I'd been celibate for months, and I'd completely refrained from everything just to the point of like getting hurt. Now I'm like masturbating furiously and compulsively, and like, you know, just not feeling totally satisfied. And I'm just like very like, I'm not desperate for intimacy. Um, but like I long for it. I do. Like I really just like, I would love to just like be able to lay in bed and have somebody just touch me and just have that be enough, like to fall asleep like that. Like that, there's been one person, and it only happened a couple times, but like with him, like, and this was my partner from a couple years ago. We only dated for a short time, and pretty sure he was with somebody else the whole time. And um, like, but like I remember laying in his arms and being able to actually fall asleep, and like I'd never fallen asleep in somebody's arms like that. Generally, like I'd be with somebody, we'd be intimate, and then we both roll over and go to sleep